Aisha, thank you so much for being with us today. Such a rock star, NASA going into space. So we're very honored to have you here with Burns and Mac today. You've picked a field where there are not a lot of women or African Americans or African American women to really kind of have that connectivity with. So can you tell me about how your success kind of came together, your community came together, even though you didn't really have a lot of people that looked like you in those particular environments?
As I built more accomplishments, and I started out small, I'm gonna graduate from an engineering organization, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna work for NASA. I started to recognize that while there may not have been any role models, as soon as I allowed myself to see myself as a role model, I could become one and I could fill that gap. So today I take a lot of joy in sharing all the things that I thought went wrong, but actually went right, and allowing that to inform not only my journey, but the journey of people around me.
Can you go back to when you were working for NASA and you're rock star there, and something else was calling you? Can you take us back then and kind of what was the motivator between leaving NASA to opening up your own shop?
Well, it was calling me slowly and repeatedly on collect, because there was no money associated with the decision. It was a really difficult one to make. It took me about 2 years to put together a plan, along with the courage to decide that I was going to make the transition out. And it really came to a head when I identified a mentor who was a business leader who had walked that path and was willing to mentor me in the transition. For me, being in the government, I was looking around and seeing all the work that we were doing with our suppliers. And I remember thinking to myself, I love what I'm doing, and quite possibly I may return when I go to retire, because it's just a wonderful environment to be in. I mean, if you have the opportunity to be a NASA engineer, take it. But I wanted to do things on an international scale. And I wanted to have exposure running my own business and working with the nonprofits and on the technical things that I chose, when I chose, and how I chose them, which meant that I needed to create an environment for that. Looking at the work that we did with our suppliers, I realized that I could create my own company, and that there were actually centers out there that were designed to help and facilitate that. And that's really what made the transition. It was a combination of, okay, there's a mentor and there's also knowledge out there, and I could essentially take the same approach I got to getting an MBA and do that in business.
Why is STEM so important?
I feel that STEM is the great democratizer. I was a latecomer to the game. I didn't decide to pursue engineering until I was 18, and while I received a wonderful engineering degree and I credit for many things in my life, it was my ability to learn analytical thinking as a skill and apply it to problems and turn that into an enterprise that has made me who I am today.
I want to ask you now about space, the final frontier. You are gearing up to actually go into space. What's on your mind right now?
The main thing I think about is the model and projecting this to as many people as possible, because I never set out to live this life. And in fact, it would not be without the innovation and ingenuity of thousands of people who I've never met to create this opportunity. From SpaceX to Blue Origin, it's really widening the decision space around who can access these opportunities and how and why. And so for this mission, my focus is to inspire as many people as possible to not only participate, but also to think of themselves as part of this journey.
Aisha, it was such a pleasure and honor to have you today with us. Thank you so much for your time and energy and charisma.
Thank you. I absolutely am honored to have the opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise with the Burns McDonnell family.
Thank you so much.